All right, welcome everyone. Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Apothecary Diaries, Season 2, Episode 12. Oh boy.
Yeah, we're...
There
was an assassination attempt.
There has been an attempted murder.
Yeah.
Okay. This is fine. They're in the cave, you know?
Yep.
They attempted to escape the cave, but oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, she landed it.
It just didn't work, you know? And now.
Straddling over his...
Yeah, we've got a thirsty boy here.
Throbbing... body.
Yeah, there might be some questions that Mao Mao has about exactly what's been going on with Jinshi and, you know, how much
between
of
his legs, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully we can have a respectful and very informative conversation. I would love to know, Jinshi, how you've maintained your, sanity amidst all these very, very attractive, like tens coming in from across the kingdom.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yep.
I definitely was like that at 19, just able to be like, oh yeah, that's no big deal, you know?
And he's probably even younger than that.
Yeah, so, but he was also going to tell Mao Mao his big secret before, you know, the whole, interruption shooting thing happened.
His lineage,
Yeah, so is that still going to happen? Is that going to happen while we also get the steamy stuff?
Yeah. Will the steamy stuff distract from the
Who's to
potential
say?
things there?
Who's to say?
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is giving me big, Casca and Guts underneath the waterfall.
Oh, absolutely.
Stuff here where their relationship just accelerates. And if that's what happens here, where it's like hey, Jinshi, we can't, actually be in a relationship. But, I'm not against, exploring us getting to know each other.
We can't actually be in a relationship, but, we can have fun. I'm an apothecary. I know how to make sure that there won't be any consequences.
Oh my god. Jinshi's face would go blood red and he'd just be like, I needed an adult. Oh my god, but yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Well, that makes sense that they would think that potentially if they've been trying to some people have been trying to slip him stuff. Yeah, it must be really annoying as a soldier, you know. Probably suits him well.
But this
is good to suspect him. It's good to suspect him and think about that though.
But meanwhile, maybe a lover's tryst is going on.
In that moment, time was frozen. Yep.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Mao Mao. Yeah. Oh. Doubling down and tripling down after he's like, could you move your head? Yeah, All right.
Yeah. Oh, no. La.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah.
It was a frog. Yes. A very massive frog.
Yep. A throbbing frog. Oh.
Somewhat large frogs.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
Yes. Yep. Oh. Well, too late. What? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Borf is here.
Hey. Oh, okay.
All right.
I was sent after him, yeah. Yeah, it'd cause all kinds of issues in that regard.
And
Because you'd
that
have to
too.
suspect every single person, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, which means he specifically thought it would be okay, you know?
Yeah.
This frog! Please keep calling it that! Oh. Huh. Yeah, who's this? We're not allowed to see them because this is fake, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh!
I love it.
That, okay, that actually makes plenty of sense. Yeah, yeah. It's a gambit. Yeah. Perfect. There you go.
Uh-huh.
More wild goose chase stuff to keep this going. Yeah.
Fantastic.
This is so clever.
Yeah.
We get an actual excuse for people to,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is the person that they...
perfect. He can see what Lihaku's doing. It's
Yeah.
like, yep, just keep going with this. Right. Yep.
Fantastic.
We got it. Oh. Yep. You're
All right.
in big strong man's hands now.
Yeah. Oh, right, because gunpowder.
Okay. Yeah,
Easy to
it's a
smuggle,
pistol.
but no wonder they missed. Nice.
It was easy, yeah.
Good pupper.
Yeah, they heard. No, you played your part perfectly. And
Yeah.
our
A bit chilly.
little encounter of vulnerability is now just closed.
Yep.
Dang. Were they taken off into the forest and just drowned or something?
Something.
Oh, Gaoshen's passed, yeah. The Ma name, okay.
Okay.
Oh. The animosity towards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
He's in on it without necessarily being a part of actively
Yeah.
going for it because none of the people here are.
Right. It's
Yeah.
just we're trying to have him get with somebody here.
Or get rid of him.
Sure. Yeah.
Very cool, though. Yeah, the West. Yeah. Right.
Maybe that's how the guns got smuggled in. Yep.
Yeah, she's like, it, maybe, I don't know. Yep. Oh, he's persistent.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, this is
okay.
a good apology. This is a good apology.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, you're apologizing too. Yeah, I like.
そこそこなんて言って育ててくれた姉ちゃんたちは仕事第一の妓女だ。そのうち悟ったのか泣かない赤子になったらしい。
Right, because it didn't lead to anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
私にとってジンシ様はジンシ様です。これが正直な気持ちだ。
Yeah, yeah.
あるかないかの違いなんて別に見るわけでもないし
Yeah.
私には関係ない。
Yep, that's right. I will
See.
never.
That might not be what he wanted to hear. He doesn't want to be your master.
Love it. Just a little touch.
お前には迷惑をかけるかもしれないが
これは
今回の旅に来てもらったのもそのためだ
Ah, 3 of them.
目にまで見た飛躍が今手の中に
For 4 of them.
そうだ
Uh,
ありがとうございます。
Oh.
You're
Oh.
in.
ではおやすみなさい。
Oh yeah.
Wow.
誰にも邪魔されない
Fantastic.
Do the little feet kick, you know. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
もし秘密がバレて窮地に立たされたらその時はちゃんと本物のか
Oh my god.
花の文字を冠するものは今現在2人
Oh.
Okay.
国の頂点に立つ帝
Whoa. Yeah.
月の君、あなたはこの国の帝の弟君。数い月なのだから。
Oh, that's a name. The episode's title.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. Zuigetsu.
You know,
Yeah.
don't you hate it when your crush that you have not actually confessed to necessarily, goes and puts their hand on your dick and you're like, could you move your hand away? You're touching something. And then they're like, what? And then they like give it a couple more squeezes, just to be like, surely I'm not. Yeah.
Oh my.
Maybe you are, in fact. That is not a frog.
I love the ridiculousness of, oh, this is a dick. This is a cock and balls.
Yep.
You were raised by courtesans. And
Yeah.
you're telling me
That
that you didn't immediately recognize it?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, that's yeah.
I wonder how many poisons come from animal, like,
Animal genitalia.
Genitalia, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
Potentially, like, interacting with those
like
as
that's
well.
that's some. I don't know what that like. I don't know. Like, Mao, you should have been able to tell.
I think it's the kind of thing where part of it is the comedy, but the other part is in my head, he doesn't have this.
Right.
So he shouldn't. Oh wait.
No, the first time and being, I get it. The frog, right? It's sitting in the position and the two legs, yeah. No, I got that, right? But then could you move your hand away?
Like his manly whimper.
Right.
Just like, and it's like, what? Is it like in an uncomfortable spot for it?
Oh, that's just like going all the way down the shaft. Yeah, that's connected. Like,
I love the euphemism, the exchange of yes, his frog. That's what we'll use to call it.
He's got a pet frog,
so that we can keep the PG rating for this.
Oh, sure, but then also the what they need to do is Mao needs to gift him an actual pet frog. That way, if they ever need to talk about things, they just talk about his pet frog.
Right.
Because he does have a pet frog.
He does now, yeah.
No one will ever clue in, to what's going on because...
And if it's a really, massive one, that would be actually, really funny. His enormous bullfrog's like... Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she used basically no talk jutsu, basically,
Yep.
in order to make sure that he doesn't tell her about his connection to the Emperor.
Right.
Because what he was going to tell her was that he's the Emperor's younger brother.
Which he isn't.
He isn't, but that's fun because in a lot of ways, by doing it this way, this is an example of most everybody knows this. This is the kind of thing that is like, okay, if you know the secret, it's like...
You're in the know.
You're in the know.
Yeah.
Right? But nobody knows.
Right. Can you imagine...
what's actually going on.
Can you imagine if Mao, if we got past all of her, nope, I'm not listening, all that stuff, right? To the point where he's like, no, I'm the Emperor's younger brother. And she's just like, oh, no, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, what? You're not
I thought you were
surprised?
going to say something like you're the Emperor's oldest son and heir.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, well, I am the heir. She's like, yeah, for now.
No, right, because he doesn't have any, children other than, you and a daughter. Wait, what are you talking? Wait, huh?
That would be really funny if Mao's just like, that's less than what I thought I already knew. So,
yeah, right. Then it becomes something where Jinshi's like, wait, what? What? Tell me.
And then she's like, no, I can't tell you. I don't know anything. What are you talking about? No.
Right.
That's all just baseless conjecture.
I don't actually know anything. So,
But yeah, we got Gaoshen kind of thinking about all this, realizing how useful she is, not just in the standpoint that she's someone that Jinshi cares about, but in the standpoint that in a lot of ways through her, you could very easily control Jinshi. And that's something that's very important too. Just
sure. I
acknowledge
hadn't even thought about that.
In terms of a pawn, you put the pawns, in front of your king,
Yeah.
You put them in front of your more valuable pieces.
To say nothing of just the good head on her shoulders that she's got, and the number
no head was had in this episode,
and the number of times that basically she's been incredibly clutch, for this kingdom, where there's so much being
a little bit too hard this episode.
Yeah, where so much is done via intrigue, right? That having someone who can just sniff things out. Well, literally having someone that can sniff things out was incredibly important this episode.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
She basically armed the dog with the correct sniffer, the correct stuff to sniff.
And
he's
there
like,
you go.
Okay, I got him.
I love that because the idea of using guns as we'll smuggle these in. They'll be almost untraceable because
they're a foreign made weapon.
Yeah, they're a foreign made thing.
No one will be able to know who.
Yeah, exactly, right. And there won't be no one else has them here, right? So, that won't be an issue.
Right.
But then it's nope, that's a smelly weapon. God damn it,
That's why they specifically were no dogs. And then it's
right.
Just to let you know, the Haku's got a dog, so...
Yep. So we just brought that in.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
Oh, hey, when you're looking for someone, right, well, who do you send? You send dog, right? So there you go. And so then
I loved the
you're done.
sequence of events of how they used Gaoshen's son as a means to give everybody orders so that we could have this
Yes.
all work out so well.
That was
because
great.
in Apothecary Diaries, there's a lot of these kinds of moments that happen where people get caught and they're just executed or done away with off screen.
Yep.
There's something so chilling about the way it's done so casually as well, because the people in this story are so supremely powerful in terms of the hierarchy of this nation.
It's like, oh, that whole family, yeah, they were never seen in public again.
Right. Yeah. All the people associated, everything like that. They never showed up to another party.
And no one questions it.
Nobody. No.
Yeah.
No,
That's how it is.
Yep. Clearly, they were a part of some kind of conspiracy or what have you. But you know what? They'd like Mao Mao. That's above my pay grade.
Right. It's the whole
I don't
thing
need to know that.
It's the flip side of when the way that you maneuver is through intrigue. Guess what? The way that you get clapped is through intrigue
Right,
too.
exactly.
And it's just they're gone. All right. Clearly they did a dumb.
They fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. Like they raised their head up a bit too high. And
Speaking of which, the guy who spoke with Gaoshen, the way he was drunk, but talked so brazenly about like the royal family and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's interesting because we've been building up for probably the entire series the idea that peace in this nation is something that's been a luxury for quite a while, but it doesn't last forever.
Right.
And there's lots of little things that have been fomenting at the exterior. And because most of the story took place
deep
so
in
far,
the interior.
well, deep in the interior, we don't know about a lot of those things, but we've set up a lot of pieces through which not an overt war could start, but that could eventually, but something akin to a more quiet coup of sorts.
Sure.
Through things like poison, through things like the heirs being targeted and killed, through things like, now in this case, a more overt, people just took foreign guns
You're just like, we're gonna shoot you.
Just shot
Yep.
at Jinshi. He survived. That's a huge, colossal fuck up, because even if you go through they were working alone,
Sure.
like there's nobody else in the entire nation that's potentially involved in it, it's still an act from a foreign entity trying to weaken this nation. And thus, in some ways, it could be construed as an act of, like, not necessarily war, but something close to it.
If it were able to be proven that the guns came from the emissaries, then that would absolutely could be considered an act of war, right? But, proving it's
almost impossible.
It's almost impossible, right?
Right.
So, it's just okay. And as a result of that, well, we're going to respond in ways that, will not necessarily be, over the table, right?
Yeah. And so Jinshi really wanting to bring Mao Mao into the circle of knowing, basically, of this this knowledge, it is fun because then they'll be able to, in some ways, more efficiently use her. And I kind of like then the idea that Mao Mao lets him know, kinda, Jinshi's not dumb.
Right.
That she knows what's going on, but she doesn't want to know anymore.
She doesn't want to have confirmations, right?
Yeah.
Like she knows enough to act in the way that
is needed of
is
her.
needed. Yeah. But she doesn't want to have it be confirmed. She doesn't want to have other people know what she knows, right?
Right. And that's better for her. And so in some ways the fact that Jinshi is kind of saying, what I was actually kind of like pretending like he wasn't going to talk about that stuff. Is like, what I was actually just really excited to share with you was, here's some ox bazaars.
Right.
And it's like, see, I'm aware of what's going on here. And in fact, thank you for helping me with all this.
Right.
Like, so here you go. Something I was saving, not for today necessarily, but
well, saving for when I did entrust you with this very secret information, as the both the
buying
thank you
your silence,
but also buying your silence.
Right. And obviously he trusts her so much.
Yeah.
He's in love with her.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't need to buy her silence.
But
it's a token of affection in a way that he knows she will appreciate.
Right. And saving it for when it would basically be not a done up front sort of, here's a free gift that's not free.
Yeah, it's more
you know?
transactional. And,
Yeah.
and so I liked that in this case, because he took the transaction out of it, what he actually did was he made it a much more genuine, just sweet thing of being like, hey, obviously we know the undercurrent of what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Not like obviously that she thinks she knows that he likes her, but he wants to bring her into his circle of confidence.
Right.
And she's like, no, I don't consent to that.
Yeah.
Like there was actually a lot of interesting kind of subtext with regards to consent here, in that obviously this was a very sexually charged encounter.
Absolutely.
Very
Yes.
much so.
Yes.
But the idea that the consent extended beyond that into areas of what people are willing to listen to and willing
Sure.
to share. And
Yep.
just because
I do
you
not
have
want to
something
know that.
just because you have something that you want to share that's important to you doesn't mean people have to listen to you.
Right.
And that's a really important thing to accept, Jinshi. Like,
Oh, yeah.
if you're going to be emperor one day, like, because there's a very decent chance that this story ends
One
with
way
you
or
being
another.
emperor.
Yeah. Whether it's through,
Whether it's through
all the emperor's male heirs being killed, or, and eventually he dies, or
you
your
have to
true heritage being, revealed. Yeah.
this is the kind of thing where you keeping a close circle of confidants is important, but also having somebody who can limit what you're even willing to say.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of that's also
Yeah.
a pretty special place for Mama to be in. To be
Right.
like, nope, shut up.
Yeah, it's something where, given how this encounter went, Jinshi, yes, is Mama saying like, hey, don't tell me anything and all that stuff? Absolutely. If you think about this and are able to approach it with a mature level head, which, hey, I totally understand if you can't.
Yeah, especially not right now.
Especially not right now.
Yeah.
But if you can, then you could basically have a point where you're like, hey, Mao, I would like to talk with you. I will not be giving you any sensitive information.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the fact that I'm not giving you any sensitive information. So there are things that I may want to tell you. You don't want to know them. That's fine. I'm not going to tell you. There are ways in which you are helping me out with some pretty key things, and I want that to continue. Like you can approach this and basically talk about what you need to talk about without talking about it.
Yeah, and that's just not this kind of show.
But yeah.
Yeah. The more you get into that, the more you remove the intrigue, the more you remove the subtlety, the more you remove the knowing glances from Gaushin of like,
Yeah, exactly.
we don't need to have that conversation, Mao. You and I are smart enough to be able to handle Jinshi, right?
Right.
Because you want him to just remain Jinshi-sama to you, right? Mm-hmm. That means in a lot of ways that we have to protect him.
Yep.
Because when an heir does get born, finally, this is the part that is actually like scarier than Jinshi's heritage being a thing that just looms there. It's more the idea that if an heir does get born to any of the, the four basically, they will have less of a legitimate claim as long as Jinshi is alive. And so if any of them know about this, Jinshi is in real danger from them. The women who basically would have their sons.
Oh yeah. No, it's the at the very least it's the thing of then he would really actually really have to be a eunuch, right? Like that no
drinking anymore,
Yeah, exactly.
It would be official. And it would not be pretty. That would not be Nobody wants that.
Exactly.
Nobody wants that.
Save Jinshi's frog.
Save Jinshi's frog. Let's start the campaign.
Oh man, I really do want it to be something where they then talk about it with the idea of just, hey, how's your frog doing? I want to make sure your frog's doing well.
Jinshi, he's such a jerk, that guy.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Really?
That's what he has to do. What do you expect?
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Yeah.
He's got a routine. He's probably very, very careful and also very regular in that regard to make sure that he has no frustrations in that regard.
Yeah.
But the problem has been probably recently
maybe
is that
some tightly bound loincloths, you know.
Maybe, but I would say his fantasies have probably gotten a bit singular recently.
Oh yeah. No,
So
I know.
it probably makes it worse now when he's jerking it. You know?
Even more so to the point of where it's like, wait, Mau Mau, you weren't able to tell, like, because I don't think that was a resting frog.
No,
I don't. At least not for very long.
It was a pretty firm on its haunches frog.
That was a
a spinal cord.
Yeah. Right.
On that frog.
This is not the kind of frog that would just be smushed. You know. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and they are cold and wet, so obviously it might not have even been. It might not have even been erect in that regard.
That's true.
So.
The cold does do it. It does
its cursed magic.
Right. Hide.
I don't want to be out here anymore.
Like a hermit crab.
Yeah.
But
oh man.
Yeah, very sweet episode.
Very, very sweet episode, despite all the jokes we're making right now. The idea that they shared this vulnerable moment, and it was actually a consent thing, like in a very like potentially unsafe kind of way, where they had to navigate this like adults and be like, hey, Jinshi, yeah, you have a position of authority over Mau Mau and literally hold her life in your hands.
Remember what I said about it's not whether or not you would, but it's whether or not you could.
Mm-hmm.
That's that definitely goes into the realm of the, hey, maybe it's not the right thing to be like, assertive and stuff and just trust that she will be like, hey, let's not do that. Because, well, you hold her life in your hands. Well. Sure.
And in some ways, it's not your place to then be like, well, then I'm going to make sure you know me better. It's like, no, you don't get to just do that.
And this is where, even though, again, not this kind of show and everything and all that stuff, yada, yada, so many reasons why this doesn't happen, but leading with vulnerability, like that, it really is a hell of a thing.
A relationship therapist, basically. Like,
kind of.
Yeah, and definitely. But I loved also that Mau Mau had a bit of reflection in the, when I grew up, I was in the courtesan's, in the verdigris house and all that. And they just kind of left me in the corner and I would just cry all day, all night. Well, until basically they were done with work. And because nobody came when she cried.
She just stopped.
She stopped. And the thing is that babies cry because of, a short list of things, basically. Sure. But they do it and get reinforced in a lot of ways to cry.
Because that's the signal
because people respond.
Yeah, exactly.
If people don't respond ever, that can be really negative. Yeah. Now, you don't want to just immediately come any point the baby's crying.
There's a point where you have to also coach them to grow out of that, learn to take care of themselves. And
it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act. And every kid is different and stuff. But the idea that this might have emotionally affected her in some ways as she grew up is kind of wise of Mau Mau to be able to notice that.
Well, and I think it's the fact that she is aware that it was this is also speaks, it is absolutely a wisdom thing, but it also speaks to how much of an impact it had on her, right? Like that's not just one of those things that affects you in a deep way and you don't realize it. Like it's the,
part of it is also that this is the stuff that she's heard. This is too early of a memory for her to actually remember any of it. This is something that she says, I was told that I would just cry, She doesn't actually remember being 1 year old and stuff like that. Like, nobody remembers that. But the idea that this was something that she's sure, based on what she knows of the way, like, babies work and things like that, that had an effect on her. And regardless of whether it's the entire reason, because there's obviously some other aspects of this as well that could come about, being in a situation where she didn't really have a true family, even though they were, they were really kind to her and stuff, it was still a very different environment and she had to learn how to kind of protect herself and didn't have maybe necessarily as many others to protect her. I like the idea that this was something where she's like, I am ill-equipped here. It's not just that I don't want to have these interactions because I want to be safe and keep my head on my shoulders in classic Mau Mau fashion.
Sure.
I think it's also I don't know the right way to say, like, so this conversation of vulnerability, if it happened, I could say the wrong thing because I just don't know.
Yep.
I don't know what to say. And so there's something I just really relate to with Mao Mao where she's constantly hyper aware of the emotional state of someone like Jinshi because she knows him decently well. But she's not equipped with knowing how to rectify that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a struggle a lot of people deal with, is that they are not so emotionally dense that they don't know what other people are feeling around.
Yeah,
them.
it's just
they know what they're feeling.
happening. Now, what do I do?
Yeah, like how do I engage with that? And I feel like that's a pretty blanket term to bring up, like neurodivergency, but it's a slight kind of
maybe
type of
put
that.
another way. I think that's one of the reasons why the whole conversation, but still having the wall between them, is so important, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the equivalent of putting like protective gloves on, right? Where it's both for keeping myself safe and then also making sure that I don't like damage you, right?
Yeah.
It's here's the whole thing in the cave that didn't go too great.
No.
And let's see how we can basically like reconnect
that,
in a safe way for both of us.
Yeah, and the fact that Jinshi led this, I feel like with a
good job.
vulnerable apology
Yep.
is good. He kind of needed to do that. I would have maybe thought a little bit less of him if he didn't do this at some point.
Oh,
But the fact that he did it quickly in this manner, and specifically was like, no, we can leave the door shut.
Yeah.
Basically saying, I'm not going to order you to be vulnerable here. This is for me.
Yeah.
And so I think Jinshi not only understood that he took advantage of his position of power in the cave a little bit, but he's saying, I won't do that to you.
Right.
I won't do that to you again.
I respect your boundaries. Here's where I'm at. If you want to listen, if you want to partake in this conversation, great. But if not, that's your choice.
Right. That's why he's not saying, like, come to the door. He's saying, like, hey, are you there? Like,
Right.
kind of are you awake? Like,
Yeah.
Because she could just not answer and he'd be like, oh, she's asleep. Okay.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's why yes, and I loved it when Mao Mao did actually respond, where it's okay, we are having this as an actual conversation,
But he's still human, and so he's bugged by the, like, but
But
I do want to keep talking. Like, there's more I want to say.
Yeah,
And she's like, Ox Bazaar, you know what? I will open the door for you.
and then I'm immediately closing it and locking it. Like, that's, like, it's too good, Jinshi. That was too good of a gift. What you really could have done is you're like, okay, here's one.
Here's one.
I have two more. Okay, but I need to say some things. Okay.
A little cat butt wiggle.
Right.
Looking like really.
My mouth starts doing the calculation in her head. I'm pretty sure this could get me killed, but he says he has two more.
That's 3 Ox Bazaars.
That's a lot of
That's
a lot of rare
more
medicine
than
right there.
I've ever held in my life.
Yeah, exactly, right. But
all right, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You got an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. Also, be sure to check out our Twitch channel, see if anything that interests you. We'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
Next time.